world wakes up, a brand new stage, new promise written on the page. We saw the cracks, turned a new age, tore up the script, got out the cage. Dig deep, they can't be stopped. A solid truth that can't be topped. For every voice they try to drop, we rise up higher from the crowd.
It's just the beginning.
Well, hello everyone. Happy freaking Monday. Woo! Have any of you ever just took a deep breath on a Monday and said, can I just please have a do-over? That's what I'm feeling like. Oh my goodness. I'll tell you, it has been a wild couple of days for me personally, but I am so glad to see every single one of you here. Could you please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button? You know, I've made this my primary job to try to figure out what in the Hades is going on in this Idaho 4 case, and there has been a little bit of new development, which is a good thing. And hopefully we'll see some other things happening soon. Now, one thing I'll say for sure, every single time, something comes up in this case, people are like, what? How in the world did you find this? Seek and you will find. If y'all know what I mean, drop a 1. If you went on a rabbit hole this weekend, drop a 1. Yeah, I have been looking all over, everywhere. And for who in the heck is this Bryan Kohberger dude, y'all? How about you just some days just question what people are showing you, question what people are saying, just to see if you can vet what the truth is. Who is this guy? Secret super spy, ninja, viper, whatever, Houdini? Wow. And there's not much you can find unless you dig really deep. All we know is what we know. Well, we'll get into that. So happy Monday. Welcome every single one of you. I cannot wait to hear what you found, what I found. This is going to be like a live dig. I can tell you till my blue in the face or the cows come home or until pigs fly or hell freezes over, whatever you want to say. But, it's not just me. Will the real Bryan Kohberger please stand up? We're going to get into it today. I don't know if, who saw the War Room on Saturday? That was like 4 hours. And the last 2 hours were the most awesomeness, if that's a word. Geez, I'll tell you, you guys, I don't give up, but man, that was an impressive last 2 hours of that live. And welcome everyone in. Real Eyes Analyze, welcome. I hope that you had a great ball game. And Tammy, good to see you. You are the winner of our 7,777th subscriber on our channel. We are so excited. I know who I think BK is. The Holly Berry. Bring it on, baby. I don't know, but not what we think. Yeah, that's so true. So I'm going to welcome you all in. Hello, Nona Ryan. Good to see you. Fireball Monday Fest. Caleb, good to see you too. And welcome back. Manifest Monday. Absolutely. We are looking at the facts, the evidence, and wherever it leads us, we're going there. We're not poo-pooing anything. Yes, congratulations, Tammy. Cheers, Caleb. And yeah, Donna Rosa, good to see you. Allison, good to see you. Nora the Explorer, welcome in. Heidi, Karen, Real Eyes Analyze. Woohoo! The Holly Berry in the house. Dina's in the house. Look at that. Inked Mama's in the house. I've got a video I gotta drop. It just feels like I could do Monday a do-over, right? I try not to listen to a lot of the, crap on the streets, of the internet streets about this case, but something really sparked me. Somebody was saying, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go on this little rabbit hole and see where it takes me. Holy cow. Nikki, welcome in. Welcome in, all of you. Good to see all you friends today. What about Bryan Kohberger shocks you the most? I could throw in a question. Is it that you don't know maybe he did do this or maybe he didn't do this? Is that the real... Are you guys still asking yourself this? Because we've not seen any proof in the evidence, and they've not offered any infallible proof, right? They have not offered proof, like pure proof. And isn't that what you need to put somebody in prison for life, is proof? Hello? I'm just going to drop a fireball in here. I don't think he's really in jail. Definitely mind-blowing. Absolutely, Nora. Yes, I don't think he's in jail. I kind of felt that, when he shows up, and especially during the plea deal. He shows up in a shirt that's like 2 inches shorter than the arms. Before that, he was always in these nice suits. And it just kind of, I feel like we're being desensitized or counter conditioning. And sometimes you really don't know where there's a safe place. And he shows up with the tan, with light hair. I know you guys probably know the picture I'm thinking of. And that was at the plea sentencing, right? Where he says he'll take the plea deal. He's trying not to, that says he's trying not to appeal. That's questionable. I mean, is this really his name, Bryan Kohberger? The way they set up his plea is very sus. Yeah, Tammy, I would say that too. Yes, I agree, Phoenix. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't the only one thinking this. The plea hearing, that's where they all got together and they basically said, okay, I'm going to plead guilty. And he shows up in court and he's got that tan looking shirt on. It's about, 2 inches. Let me see. I think people had a picture of him too. Let me just take a look at this. And someone asked me to do a layover of Gideon and this picture. And I thought, you know what? I'll do it live. Not a big deal. I'll do it live and we'll see what we can find. This is the picture that I'm talking about, where he shows up. Ann Taylor is kind of handsy and trying to, tell him everything's going to be okay kind of look. And then the way he looks at her. This is the picture that I've been talking about. Don't forget the sun lightened hair, right? I've thought this all along. Why would he not? Secret Agent Man. That's the music that was in my head, right? Secret Agent Man. And this is when I realized that the DNA or the name that they were looking for may never have existed for Bryan Kohberger. And I'll get to that. I'll get exactly what I mean. Because we don't know much about him. But the people that did know a lot about him, well, that would have been his buddies, his pals, his friends, his college people, right? Yeah, it would have been those who grew up with him. So when you start, like we did just the other day, start looking at who the real Bryan Kohberger is, it's interesting because we're still trying to figure it out. So this was a picture of Bryan Kohberger when he was at the Ada County Sheriff's. Okay. This was the original picture. This is one of the only original pictures. Did he shave his eyebrows? Well, let me put this one side by side and let me see. So this is the one that we have at the plea hearing, right? Let me just do a little finagling around right here and let me put a picture up side by side. And let's just see what we have. That's a great one. And I'll also do an overlay. If I can get this to, yeah, perfect. All right, so we have these two pictures. And this is the really odd thing about this case. And I can do a compilation of like 20 pictures. And I know, I mean, I look different on days than other days, right? I wake up, sometimes my eyes are green, sometimes they're hazel. And I look at this and I'm thinking to myself, this can't be the same guy. This cannot be the same guy. Let me go ahead and throw this back up here. It just, this guy, well, maybe, 10 or 20 pounds less. I'm typing in caps so I can see better. That's fine. Yeah, he's 31. Truth, not a killer in my humble opinion. An agent or an activist. Tammy, you said the word I was hoping somebody was going to say today. Whoa, he did disappear for a while. The minute I saw him. Why is Bryan Kohberger, who would say genius, kind, understanding, down to earth, right? Good point. It does look like that, right? Did he shave his eyebrows? Is this the same guy? Maybe 30 pounds less, maybe? Bryan is an everyday, normal human being just like me and you. Absolutely. Make him less attractive. Hopefully he told him, no, this stops now. That's a really good one. Isn't he a little too old to be in college unless he's like a doctor or a lawyer? Remember, he was getting his PhD in criminology. So, I mean, 31. He was 28 at the time. He may have been, a late starter in college. But these blue eyes on the right and the one that we saw in court, I mean, it's mind-blowing. So when we start looking at some of the background, the best way to tell that people know about you is, and they do this in top secret background investigations, they go right to your high school buddies, your high school friends, and they basically do background checks, right? So I thought it was kind of weird that before July, let me just go back a little bit. July 2nd, 2025 is when he changed the plea hearing, right? And when he did that, it kind of made everybody, I mean, I don't know about you, drop a 1 if you were shocked when they announced that he was taking a plea deal. Because I heard it on Bryan Enton first. And I've always thought, is Bryan the leak? Bryan Enton. They want the last image to be, yeah, they did. He got tired of those bushy eyebrow comments. They want to make sure nobody recognizes him once he goes into public. That's a good one. Yeah, I do too. If I sleep on my left side, I wake up swollen on my left eye. He did lose weight. You can change any color eye with contacts, right? You can change colors with contacts. And if he did, allegedly, obviously on his documents, if he did have a problem with his weight and his thyroid, that would definitely cause problems, right? With your thyroid, with weight loss, with metabolic issues. And he did absolutely, stress, lack of sleep. That is very possible. But when you go back and you look at these articles, let me just make sure this is the article that I wanted. I think I kind of made him out of sync. So when we start looking at these articles on Bryan Kohberger, this one was written February 22nd, 2023. This was 2 months into his arrest, right? And look how dark his hair is compared to the picture that we've seen from the FBI alleged when they raided his house, right? And if you just came in, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, scroll back down, scroll back up. You haven't missed much. And look at his demeanor, his stance. I mean, this looks like a totally different guy to me, right? Just in my humble opinion. But we've got to go back to February 23 and ask ourselves, okay, Kevin Fixler wrote this article in the Idaho Statesman. And this is just so odd. And we'll go through some of these, not the whole thing. And so basically, kind of Holly Berry. I was picking up something of that nature too, right? I mean, if you look around at some of the pictures, he's standing around like some of these cops. And this was the first time he was in, the Latah County or Orange, the dress code before they allowed him to wear plain clothes to the hearings. And when you hear about a little bit of his background, okay, this was early February 2023, and this was devastating for the community. They've already arrested him, and they're interviewing people from his high school, which, if you know anything about the military, FBI, secret background investigations, top secret SBIs, they go and they interview people from your high school. So here was interesting. John Gress, the principal of Pleasant Valley High School, where Kohberger graduated in 2013. Okay, 2013 he graduated. And he says, obviously in Pennsylvania for the community, it was very devastating. So I'm looking at 2013, right? Kind of gives you the rundown. So let's just assume, we're going to assume 18 in 2023 graduated. Okay. Huh. I'm not the best at math, and I'll be honest right up front. So I'm thinking to myself, well, his birthday is 1994, so that's pretty legit, right? Somebody did their background, and he graduated when he was actually 19. He graduated when he was 19, or he was probably 19 that year. So then he's got his 2021, 22, 23. He went to college, and then he was in PhD in 2021 over at WSU. 27, 28, there's a year and some change missing there for me. I don't know about you. That kind of aligns, but not too sure. Okay. So we're looking at dates. We're looking at friends. And that was his high school principal. So then you go, and we did dig just a little bit the other day, but there was another Notori Green, 27, grew up 4 doors down from the house where Kohberger lived. They graduated together in 2013. There's another verified, vetted source that, they went to high school together. I've never seen any actual yearbook photos. Has anybody ever seen anybody share yearbook photos of Bryan Kohberger? Yeah, there's no stories. There's no well-known pictures, no social media, very little information on friends. Very little information. And it's kind of odd to me that Notori Green grew up just doors down from him, but you never see any of these people post pictures. They're talking about him, they're doing interviews with them, but none of these people have pictures. Now, don't get me wrong. I know that in the 80s, cameras were not widely available on our phones. We had, throwaway instant cameras, Polaroid still. We weren't at a technological age. Is that even a word? We weren't so advanced in technology that we were all carrying phones around. I mean, in the 80s, my mom had a cell phone that was a bag phone. One of those big bags that they carry in the military. I remember she used to have one of those, and she would carry one around like that, right? And, they're saying that this is so surreal. And so some of the students that were being interviewed, this one person said, since moving back home with their family after college, okay, she went to college, moved back home. Most people do, unless, there's a reason to move away or go, with the significant other on to, more education, higher education, masters, whatever. So since moving back home with her family after college, she's heard of the passing of several Pleasant Valley classmates. And this is odd that struck me. She says, rattling off a list of causes: drugs, car accident, drugs, military, drugs again. Now, I don't know if they wrote this certain way to make the reader think bad things about this area. But the way it was written, drugs, car accident, drugs, military, and drugs again. So we know that area, there was a drug abuse problem in the area. Where is there not a drug abuse problem that is, not known in any city in the USA? So the story, the media sold him a nerd. Did he appear so in the DMV? Absolutely, Nora. That's the weirdest. Naughty people spend a lot of time, right? They don't spend a lot of time on social media, but they're being interviewed by the media, and you don't see any pictures. But we know that the drug abuse is a problem. Yeah. Nothing ever happens in Moscow and they don't have a problem, right? I remember that one. The region has one of the highest rates of overdose death in the worst hit states for the US opioid. And they say that he had his own lengthy battle with drug addiction, several former friends said. And I just thought it odd, some of his former friends. And then a quote that was said in this article: for Kohberger's former circle of friends during high school, the allegations were jarring. It's too hard to put into words, Thomas Arntz, 27, said. So we actually, I'm going to move forward. We talked a little bit about this the other day, right? And let me go back to here because this will be easier to understand. So this was the Tom Arntz we talked about in the war room. This was his son, and this was the wedding that Kohberger and his daughter attended. And this is an actual picture of his son that is actually one of the ones that graduated from the intelligence department in the Army. Okay, so there's a lot of connections here, right here, just in military intelligence. And I'm thinking, now, keep in mind that most of these kids in this area, they said they know each other. They said they know each other. But why would somebody of the caliber of being in the military and intelligence hang around with drug addicts? That's typically not the company you keep, in my humble opinion. So when you are in high school and, you know, maybe you don't know any better, but it seemed like these kids definitely kept up with each other after graduating high school. And seeing Kohberger at the wedding where all these people are attending, they're all mingling and talking with each other. And those are pretty much the only pictures that we get to see, because they're still just showing us what they want us to see. Playing that narrative. I pushed the wrong button. That was supposed to be a fireball. So I'm going to have to move those two because that is way too close to the fireball. Oh, okay. So we're looking at the connections, right? Who is Bryan Kohberger? And those were just some of the people who commented. And another classmate said that he was baffled from, another classmate in Pennsylvania said that he was baffled that the man they knew to be quiet and awkward. So now this guy is from Washington University. Former friends from Pennsylvania and a classmate from Washington State University are baffled. And on this hand, they're saying, oh no, he was a drug addict. He was a problem. My kids hung out with him, had some issues. And then they now say he was quiet and awkward. So which one was it really? Was it he quiet and awkward, or is he a troublemaker and seriously into heavy drugs? So which one is it? Nobody can seem to make up their mind, right? Now he's a loner, murderer, incel, in which the media has said that over and over and over again. Did he graduate with honors? There's nothing that indicates that he graduated with honors. Absolutely nothing. So I have looked even and scoured hours looking through the Wayback Machine, looking through Pennsylvania government records. And the only thing I found there was in 2014, there was an alleged theft arrest record when he was 19. He was already done with schooling, high school. So It shows that he was arrested for theft, no jail time served, and no public record of the arrest. Outcome remained because Pennsylvania's first-time offender program allows charges to be dropped and records expunged after successful completion. So we had to have had some successful completion of the Pennsylvania first-time offender program, right? So of course I go down the rabbit hole and I learn a little bit about the Pennsylvania's first-time offender program. It's called ARD. And it's called Accelerated Rehabilitative Disposition. It's a pretrial diversion option for eligible defendants who want to avoid a conviction and have their record cleared. So they offer this if they successfully complete it, right? So here is the background a little bit on this program. So he must have attended the program so that it would be wiped off his record and not show up, to where if anybody wanted to hire him, it would never show up in the record. It's removed from the repository like it never existed, right? True Crime Design traveled to BK's hometown last year, and the town was baffled, had not heard of the case or the case name. Wow. Wow, that's wild. Yeah, that's where allegedly he stole his sister's cell phone and dad turned him in. On the DMV, yeah, we talked about that video. That is a really great video. We did a whole live on this. He was very respectful, flirting perhaps. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's all BS too, in my humble opinion. I think they made up the story to make him look like a horrible loser, right? Just, he stole, he did drugs, had him arrested. So, okay, so here's the deal. He completes this program according to court records, right? So all this could have happened. I'm not saying it didn't. All of this could have happened. And ABC News reports this. And so basically the defendant applies to the district attorney within 30 days of preliminary hearing, and basically at the sole discretion of the DA. It doesn't go by the judge. It's always the DA. The DA is in the authority to press charges. So if it's approved, the case is put on hold while the defendant completes all the assignments. So that could mean classes, treatment, community services, fines, and probation. And I didn't go really super deep, right? But here is the very first kind of proof that I did find in a news article. All right. Here is what I did find. It's a 21-second clip talking about. Where is it? Here we go. Can't even say his name right unless my hearing is just off. So here is the video and the audio. Here we go.
Man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students last fall could be executed if convicted.
Prosecutors say they will pursue the death penalty for 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger. He's due in court today. Students were stabbed to death in their home. Idaho hasn't executed an inmate in more than a decade. Kohberger's trial is set for October.
All right. So that was just a little clip.
We can all agree.
Boy, that steak looks good. Okay. So there was just a little clip. So that verified, maybe they did their due diligence. But this eligibility for this program that he allegedly had went to, so he doesn't have a record, even if he was arrested yada, yada, yada. The eligibility is only for first-time DUI, minor drug possession. It includes retail theft or a minor. He didn't qualify as a minor, nonviolent offenses such as yada, yada, and certain misdemeanors. So I don't know exactly what the charges were filed because that got released, right? Reduced, disappeared. But there is automatic exclusions, certain criteria you have to meet. And this is what I thought odd, okay? This is not the first time that Bryan Kohberger had to waive his rights, folks. Can you believe this first-time offender program, and one of the requirements is to waive certain constitutional rights? And we know what most of those are, right? Speedy trial, formal arraignment, and agree to full compliance. So this was not his first time in the Idaho 4 case or any case that he had to waive his rights. So to me, clearly, he knows that in order to get one thing, you have to give up something, right? And then they also have alternatives if he didn't meet any of those requirements. They had, or options, I should say. They do have, in most courts, they do have mental health courts. They also have like deferred sentencing programs. And even in some states, they do have veterans court, guys. If you were ever in the military, they do have some cases in special circumstances, veterans court. So there's some education for you if you didn't know. If you have anybody in the military, friends, family, acquaintances, there could even be what's called veterans court. It's for any veteran who's served, and it could be for any criminal issue. Okay? And the key takeaways here is that obviously it avoids conviction. It clears the record, which could further you from having a job you really want. It waives the rights, and you must complete all the conditions. So since his record had been found, now I'm not saying it had been totally wiped, the news reported on it. So I don't know what information they got from the local counties. And, you know, anybody can do a FOIA. So I put in a FOIA this morning asking to see, if you're in the military, you go UCMJ and you get a JAG attorney if in active duty. But when you are out of active duty, release, not even on reserves or anything like that, there are courts in the civilian worlds where you can actually go to veteran court. So if you don't know about that, look it up in your state. But obviously he had to fulfill these requirements in order to have his record deleted, right? Basically. And when you see something like that, they've already made a deal with him. So there's a year and some change missing. Maybe that's why he was delayed in going to college. Maybe he wasn't really sure about his future. And maybe he got some really good direction from doing one of these programs, right? I mean, it is a plus to be able to be offered something like that, especially if you're not sure what it is that you want to accomplish in life. Let's say you're, dead end, no jobs, you're concerned about your future. That would be great for somebody to get some insight, because usually when people teach these programs, they give you a little bit of career path, right? And maybe he came across somebody who was going to give him some guidance or gave him some great guidance. And I'm just assuming, because a lot of people talk about this ARD program. There is a criminal defense attorney that explains what the program is also that I found very helpful. Rehab, right? So rehab could have been one of those that they mandatory require him to go to rehab, and he graduated from this program. He graduated, met all the, I shouldn't say graduated, but he met all the requirements and then got his life together, and then bam, he decided what he wanted to do. And that is just kind of one of those things that it makes sense, right? It makes sense why he was a little older. But then you start going through, obviously, and here's one of the videos that I clipped for this.
Is what's called accelerated rehabilitative disposition. It's a program for people who are first-time offenders that will ultimately result in a dismissal of the case as long as they are able to comply with a certain amount of criteria. That means you're going to go do a class. You may have to do some community service. Essentially, what happens is you get put on probation for a period of time. So the Commonwealth hits pause on your case. You complete all requirements that they put on you. And as long as you complete all requirements at the end of the probation, they unpause your case and dismiss it. And then you're eligible to have your record expunged. It's really beneficial, especially if you're a first-time offender and especially if you're worried about, making sure you're getting a guaranteed outcome. ARD can be a very good guaranteed outcome for you. ARD program.
So that is an attorney on YouTube that is Wargel, Sarna, and Ness criminal defense attorneys. So if you're in Pennsylvania, there is a little plug for them. You ever get in trouble for the first time, definitely you want somebody experienced on your side how to handle the court system. So absolutely, right there, ARD in Pennsylvania. Okay, so that's good to know. And I wonder what the cost of this program, some of them all do cost. ARD in Pennsylvania cost. Let's see. And in addition to an attorney, right? If you're going to hire an attorney. And it says, wow. That's crazy. Okay. So here is a little bit of background. So who was paying for this? If he had to go through something like this and he wasn't, it didn't sound like he was working, right? Someone said he was working afterwards. He got a security job. So, you can't get a security job or any type of those type jobs with having something on your record. Okay. Even if it was released and no conviction. Flat fees, that is for DUI. That doesn't, a more complex case is about $5,000 for an attorney. Yeah, what lawyer isn't expensive? Hey, Lulu Bell, you're right. You're so right on this. And then low estimate is $500 to $1,200, so $500 to $1,200. Mid range is $1,200 to $2,500, and high end, that's just for a DUI, right? But you still have the expenses of ongoing supervision, any restitution, court fees, evaluation, rehab cost. I mean, there's still a lot of expense. So you're just looking at the low end side here for attorneys, right? And there's a whole program out there. And I think some states do have programs like this. So it just depends on what kind of program that you go into where you agree with the courts that you're going to do this program. So that's already expensive. That is expensive. So he goes in, he finishes this program, he comes out, and now he has a security job. And this is just from the history of what I found in regards to Bryan Kohberger. So he's working at a security guard job. And then this is where it gets kind of wild. So he graduates in 2013 at 19, okay? And then in 23, if he went to college at 19 to 23, he would be done, right? That's my math. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, that would be making sense. But then it says that he received a bachelor's degree from DeSales University in 2012. 20, and then he completed graduate studies in 2022. So he went to college and he got a bachelor's degree and his graduates in less than, that would be 6. That's typically 6 years of college. Who paid him for that? Who paid for his college? I mean, these are the normal questions that I ask, right? This is, who paid for all this? So he graduates in 2013 at the age of 19. We've already seen that. So let's just say 2023, they said he graduated. That's 3 years. There's 7. Okay, so that's 10 years. There's 3 years missing. He was addicted to something that's serious as heroin and get a job around. Yeah, that's very interesting, right? That is huge interesting to me. So where did these 3 years of missing time go? Okay, we're not here to share rumors. We're here to share facts. Okay, facts only. And if you have a speculation, speculate all you want. We don't have I don't even know if freaking phones were even worth $200 back then. They're not even worth anything. Yes, it is Mods Monday. It is Mod Monday. Everything donated to the stream goes right to the Mods pocket. I know there's scholarships for rehab and also some for college students. But how long did he spend in a program when he had this, problem? How long did he spend in this program? Because that was alleged in 2014. It was 2014 he was arrested. So 2013 he graduated high school. In 2014 he wasn't doing much. He got arrested for theft. He was arrested again at 28. Now he's 31, 3 years later. So where did those 3 years go if he graduated from college in 2022? He completed a bachelor's in 2020 and he completed a graduate in 2022 June. So if you're looking at 2021, that would be 2016 to 2020, or maybe even 2015. There's 3 years, roughly almost 3 years, where in between there, he didn't do anything. 3 years gives me enough time to think maybe he did go and join the army. Is it possible that's what paid for his college? He had financial aid and student loans. We all do, unless you've got, a free ride to college or mom and dad pays. I'm just saying, there's 3 years in between, according to my math, almost 3 years. Where was he? Sounds like they had a timeline for his education as well as it. Definitely crazy. That's possible and opaque for all of it. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Why doesn't Bryan look like his parents, but like his sister? I don't know. Grants, financial aid, student loans. Absolutely. But you guys are missing the point. Mom and dad were both working, right? Mom and dad were, mom, wasn't she a teacher and dad working as a janitor? Yeah, they could have got loans for all of their kids, right? They could have all been, they all had some type of college education. He officially started college in 2015. Official. Okay, so where did that would still be 2013, 2014, 2015. Is there a military base to look him up on to see if he ever enlisted? No name by the name of Bryan Kohberger has ever been in the military. In Bryan Kohberger's name. Yeah, there's a military database. Absolutely. Ice me odd. What are you guys seeing? Yeah, we're going with evidence, facts, pictures, documents, articles, repositories, anything that you can verify. So I've got some feelers out for that along with the FOIA too. So I want to see some receipts for, that would pay for college. That is just saying that would pay for college. So some of his friends were quoted at, we don't know this man's name as far as I'm concerned. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Now you guys are getting it. Doesn't show much. It's wild. And why don't we see any pictures of all these graduate pictures or, diplomas or anything like that? One thing for sure that I see on social media, I see tons of moms and dads and sisters and brothers taking pictures, graduation. That's huge, right? These are all huge moments in life that people share all over social media, all over their Facebooks, all over their, Instagram. Where are all these pictures? On a side note, speaking of pictures, if we really want to get into it, right? He was at Northampton, 2000, and he was at DeSales, and then he got his master's. So he went to Northampton for 3 years, and then 2 years he went to DeSales, and 2022 he got his master's. Now this would back it up, Kimberly. That would back it up. But here's the deal. You would see a lot of these pictures, a lot of moms and dads put pictures up there, proud of their kids, right? We're on the same page. You got it. When did you see college in Pennsylvania? I did see him walk across the stage when they called his name. Oh, that's interesting. Let me look into that one. My son he hates pictures. Yeah, but you know what? He's got a picture at his friend's wedding. He's standing there, right? You see pictures at dinner, at some dinners. But here's something that I noticed also along these, at what point did he start taking selfies, right? Right? That's all they hammered on the news, all these selfies. But listen to this. I started thinking the same thing about Kaylee. Where are all the pictures of Kaylee at these milestones? These are all right off the videos from her TikTok, right? All the things they share are off her TikTok. All the things that she shares, she's never in a picture with Kaylee. Never. All I see are pictures that have been reposted or taken from somewhere else. I've never seen Christy in a college picture with her dad or her mom. Has anybody seen it? Has anybody seen them in an updated photo during her college days where she was standing by her mom and her dad, not at her sister's wedding? I've never seen one. I've seen mom and I've seen Aubrey. I've seen mom and the daughter that, their other daughters. I've seen that. But I've never seen an older picture of Kaylee around her mom and dad. All of these are taken off of her social media or Maddie's social media. All the pictures they share are much younger. The only picture I saw mom and dad in was the ones with all the kids when they were really young, after prom. I don't see anything in regards to when in college, her college days. They said she had a room at the house. She would come home. Where are those pictures? Where are those videos? Never seen them. Anybody? Have you seen any pictures of Kaylee? I've seen that one where she went to go visit her daughter. Younger pictures of Kaylee. But I've never seen one of the family. I've only seen them in younger pictures. That's it. They talk a lot about the other daughter. They even talked about, she went to go see her in Texas. But I've never seen any older pictures of Kaylee with her mom and dad. Did they have a great relationship that they have been trying to tell us about? Did they? I still have not seen any pictures when Kaylee was older. Were they not as close as they want us to believe? Possibly. That's speculation. There's the family. 2017. So odd. Speaking of pictures and families, and since we were talking about that, I had a side note that I've never seen pictures, and everything else was shared from social media. I just thought that really odd. Younger pictures again. AI pictures. I mean, you can go through the whole page and kind of see what I'm talking about. Taken from social media, social media, social media, social media, younger pictures. There's one.
Take my hand, stay with me, my dear. I think you broke my...
I have to X that up. Younger. It's crazy. Absolutely wild. So when we think about it, and when we look back at Kohberger and his timeline, there's still some missing time, right? And I mean, that's pretty stringent to go off of, drug addiction, his history, reported, not proven in the case. The original case was sealed. Multiple outlets reported claims that he struggled with heroin when younger. His sister saying he's had to overcome heroin addiction in people, and family had been proud of his progress. Did he backslide? The vehicle stops. Just because you're stopped for a traffic ticket doesn't mean you're a mass murderer, right? So everything before 11, 13, 22, the biggest pieces are still missing. Biggest pieces that we are questioning are still missing. But we can always go back to the Tom Arntz. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't let my kids hang out with a drug addict. And also someone from the intelligence agency would know, hey, something's not right with this kid. Why are you hanging out with this kid? But they hung out and they grew up with him and graduated, and then he's at a wedding that they all have come back to Pennsylvania to attend. Those are just some of the red flags, right? And then obviously we went down the Brandon A's route to see who he knew. And they all run back in some of the same circles. And this was another one several years after they spoke. Remember I said Bayless looked like a familiar name? Well, he was interviewed by the newspaper in regards to Bryan Kohberger. Several years after they last spoke, Bayless, hold on a minute. Bayless said he and Kohberger reconnected. So that means Bayless and the two would exchange Facebook messages and Kohberger would call to talk to him every week or so. So these were friends that hung out, came back to Pennsylvania, and still connected. So this wasn't a really bad kid, was he? Yeah, what about Will? I've not been able to locate Will. I know about Will's background. I know that before Bertie and I went on live with Will, I did a extensive knowledge background. We talked for about 5 minutes before we went live on Bertie, and I asked Will straight out, tell me about X, Y, and Z. He was shocked, but he told me the truth. So I told him, before I get on and go live with you, I want to make sure you're telling the truth. And he did. He was very respectful and very honest and, very humble about his past and was legit. That's the only reason I went live, made sure, vetted him. But Bayless said at some point, don't ever bring it up again, because Kohberger told him he no longer used drugs when the subject came up. And that's what Bayless said. In May of 28, Kohberger told Bayless in Facebook messages that he hadn't used drug in 2 years, according to screenshots Bayless shared with the New York Times. So this friend of his, Bayless, obviously handed over the receipts of what they were talking about. I only used when I was in a deep suicidal state. That's what Kohberger wrote Bayless. I have since really learned a lot. Not a person alive could convince me to use it. So he must have went through some serious rehab. And then we run into Casey Arntz, which is now a major, which we covered the other day. And she ran into Kohberger a year before a mutual friend's wedding. So that was not her brother. It was a mutual friend, and we uncovered that it was Brandon A. It was Brandon A. It was a mutual friend's wedding, which was the last time she saw him. He appeared to have pulled his life together, she said, and shared that he was in college and working as a security officer for the Pleasant Valley School District, the same district his mom and allegedly his dad worked for. And it's so good to see someone come back from a dark place, she told the Statesman, saying that she gave Kohberger a big hug when she greeted him. Kohberger started with the school district in 2016 as a fill-in custodian. He was later credited in 2018 with help saving a life of an employee at the high school after a medical emergency. Now, this doesn't sound like some mass murderer, horrible guy, does it? Does this sound like someone who would walk into someone's house unannounced, uninvited, and commit 4 murders in less than 3 to 5 minutes? 7 minutes at the max. Yeah. So the dates here are very interesting. So he's working in 2016. Someone just said that he went to college. Was he working? Bayless knew Tom Arntz. Yes. Bayless was one of the guys. Yes, he was. On the Facebook that I said that name looks familiar. To this article, because one of the females said drugs, military drugs, and yada, 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 car accidents. And I thought, whoa, this article. So he was a fill-in custodian and a courier before moving into security part-time. So he was working part-time. He could have been going to college full-time. And then he resigned from his position in June of 2021. Okay, so he was working. This is just like so bizarre. And they got the records from the district that hired him. So they have these records on file. So was he working as a security guard the entire time? I mean, these dates don't line up. I've got a timeline. These dates definitely don't line up. I've got a timeline before the timeline of the Idaho 4. And then it says he went on to earn his bachelor's degree in 2020 and his master's 2022, according to the statement the university released the day he was arrested. The university obviously is about an hour south of where Kohberger's parents moved and continued to live while in college. And the DeSalle's faculty at the college, said that they were not accepting any interviews in regards to Bryan Kohberger. Wild as it is, some of these dates just don't align. Jack Bayless was the one that was friends with Brandon A., which I believe that is the picture that we see at the wedding with all his buddies, right? All his buddies, the security and intelligence analyst, the dad, U.S. Army vet, just some wild things. So who really is Bryan Kohberger? Somebody asked me to overlay Gideon on top of Bryan Kohberger's picture. Does anybody want me to do that live? I can do that. I can overlay his picture. Let me get a blank slate here. And let me grab Gideon's picture and I'll do a face overlay. Let's see. And they're said to get the one from the court, this one right here. Get this picture, overlay his face on top of Gideon's, and let's see what we have. I can do that. Let me take the background out of this one. And let me grab a current. Should I grab a current picture of Gideon? Let me see what I've got. Current picture. I guess it would be this one on his mom's Facebook. Here we go. And let me take the background off of this one. All right. I still say they're relatives, cousins, something. All right, let me do this one. So I'm going to take Gideon and I'm going to transfer. Let me put this up on the screen for you guys. Let me see if I can do this. Let me transparency. All right, let me share this. And here is Gideon on the right, and Gideon Lauda on the right, and Bryan Kohberger on the left. I can't explain what I think. I can only say the moment the first picture of him was shown after the arrest, I said, ain't no way he did it. They have the wrong guy. He had to be a Fed, says Ms. Brown. All right, so let me do Let me make this a little bit. All right, let's see what we get. You guys ready for this? Let's see. Let me line up the eyes. I had to make this one a little bit bigger because the ears. Let me see if I can get it right. Right on there. I might have to make this one a little smaller. Oh, that's creepy. Ears are a little hard to... They have to be somehow related. You get the nose exact. That's the best I can do. And, you know, his eyes... Let's see if I can line up the eyes. It's probably the best I can get with the eyes. The ears... right about there. Long lost brothers. That's what I'm thinking. So twins separated at birth, or possibly cousins. Look at that. Ears. Let me line up the mole. Oh my God. Oh, let me line up the mole. I just thought about that. Hold on a minute. There's the moles. It's the same person, just tweaked a bit. In my humble, Gideon is a clown. I think he is a ghost. Gideon is a clown. I think Gideon is a ghost. I don't have proof, but my eyes do not lie. Critter. Oh my God. Look at that. Holy moly. Let me see if I can get this because of those ears. I'm trying to get it exactly proportioned. The mole in the ears. Let me see if I can make this smaller. Oh, that's the best it's going to go. Right there. Again, if Gideon was such good friends, where was he in any pictures? Oh, that's a good one. So, you know, I don't believe in coincidences either. Okay, I really don't. And I could do it backwards. Let's overlay his face on top of his. I'm trying to get that mole right in the right place. Let me do this. Trying to align the mole perfectly. I have to make his face a little smaller, but there it is. Trying to get that mole right on there. Very close. And into his nose, right there. Wow. It's similar. It can't be chance. They're not the same. The earlobes are not the same. Maybe that's why I'm having such a hard time lining them up. When I line up the mole and the nose, very close. Very close. Wow. Okay, so let me do that. Let's see if I can make this a little bit. See, because I have to kind of get the faces almost about the same. Right. Right there. This face is too big. There's the nose, there's the face, there's the mole. So the ears are a little bit different. Face is a little fuller on Gideon's. Okay, so here's the deal. Looking back at who knows who, right? Let's look back at who knows who. So let me go back in my history here. All right, we're going to go Lauda. Okay, so Adam Lauda's grandfather was Lambert Lauda. And he passed away in 2015 while attending to the yard. He was born in 1934 in Clarkston, Nebraska, to James and Lydia Lauda. James Lauda of Nebraska. Okay, hold on. I went a little further. Let me see. Didn't find the great-grandfather, but I found this. All right, I don't know yet. I don't know. Gideon's Adam's cousin. I don't know. I don't know yet. Separated at birth, maybe cousins. Yeah, we talked about the Vegas family. Gideon looks like BK a wee bit. Christopher Walken thrown in. Yeah, right. It's so freaking similar. It can't be chance. I agree, guys. Okay, so Phoenix is trying to figure that out now. Yeah, I've been down this rabbit hole for a while since I found Gideon. But Adam Lauda's grandfather is Lambert Lauda. And the reason I found this is that his dad was born in Clarkston, Nebraska, to James and Lydia Lauda. The family moved to Buell, Idaho from Nebraska when he was 4 and began at school at the Deep Creek High School when he was 7. So they only spoke Czechoslovakian when he came to Idaho. Okay, Gideon's dad is who? We don't know. We don't know. We're still trying to figure this out because there's no mention of Gideon's dad. No mention. I thought Gideon was Adam's brother. I don't know. We're still trying to figure this out. At this point, I hope my doppelganger is behaving well, just like me. I love it, Donna Rosa. I know who the mother is. I don't know who the father is. Okay? Okay, so hang tight, guys. So he was raised in Buell and he lived there most of his life. He did serve in the army for 2 years in France. Okay, this is Adam Lauda's grandfather. He served in the army. And they had a couple of kids. And here is a list of his kids. So he survived. And this guy, Lambert, they used to go to Mexico. Lambert is an active member and elder at the First Christian Church, a Gideon. He's a Gideon, okay? First Christian Church in Buell. I'll let the chat catch up. Okay, does anybody know what a Gideon is? Gideon's International, Christian business and professional men called to win others to Jesus. First Christian Church in Buell. Okay, did y'all catch that? Yeah, I thought it was interesting. So Gideon's International, you can go look it up. We've talked about this before. We brought it up once. And let me just see. Hold on a minute. There is Idaho. And there is Idaho Falls and Amon. Amon, Idaho. And his kids, Tim and Tammy Lauda, Rick and Kathy Lauda were their son, Rick Lauda, and Tim. They had a Tammy that married a Bragg, and those were his children. Okay. And they, Lambert Lauda, there's his LinkedIn. He actually was part of a Achievement Day anniversary celebration in clubs and associations. That's where I found his name. But his son, Tim Lauda, from Twin Falls, I was able to verify this by his wife, Tammy. What happened to this picture? Where'd it go? Oh, man. Hold on a minute. There it is. I was able to verify it by his wife. Let's see if it pops up. I don't know why this picture disappears. And his wife was a director, or still is, of 911 dispatch. So I don't know why this picture won't pop up in this. This is Director Tammy Lauda. She is the director of basically Twin Falls, in charge of 8 dispatchers. She's the director. Yeah, gets deep. It keeps getting deeper. I don't know why these pictures won't show up. She is actually, or she was, the director. Then you have, why is this not showing up? Hold on a minute. Nope, it started all the way over. Hold on, let me get there. Doesn't want you to see the good stuff. Okay, so this is Tammy Lauda. Verified she's in Twin Falls. There's her husband, Tim Lauda. Verified that. Here is the Chapter of Association of Arson Investigators, Fire Marshal Tim Lauda. Okay, so he was a fire chief, captain. He retired in 2022 in April. It gets even better. After that, then you see the other son is part of the Rotary, right? Yeah, yes. Grandson of Adam. Yeah, we talked about that the other day. Ann M. Lauda was in what was she? Intelligence, something with the defensive in intelligence. And then Rick Lauda, the other one, and then that verified this one, which was Kathy Lauda, a diehard vandal. Now, you guys, these could all be too coincidental. It gets better. So I'm going to give you a massive fireball. And I kept saying, what is so like crazy? What is so crazy? And then it hit me. The other daughter married a Lauda, and that would give you Kathy Lauda. Kathleen, she goes by Kathleen Lauda. She's an educator at a high school. And then obviously Adam Lauda, Rick and Kathy's son, got a scholarship. And, you know, obviously Kathy Lauda graduated the U of I in 1978 and enjoyed watching the Vandal marching band with her mom and husband. Another UI graduate, and their 4 children are Vandals as well. Homecoming in Moscow, Kathy Lauda graduated, obviously. That one is a repeat. But who was Kathy Lauda's maiden name was Anderson. And here is the no other than University of Idaho Athletics. This guy was her father, Adam's grandfather on the mother's side, and he was the Hall of Fame and played football at the University of Idaho. A long line of Vandals. A very long line of Vandals. And I just thought, whoa. Whoa. Who's Bryan Kohberger? Is he related? I don't know. There's not a conspiracy. These are known public connections, all made from social media connections, articles, Wayback Machine, U of I articles. Phoenix, you just got me going then with that ticking time. So people finding out about Birdie, I just caught that. What? People are finding out about Birdie. What happened to Birdie? I must have missed something. I Googled Gideon conspiracy. All right, let's do it. Let me see. Let's see. AI threat or tough crime. Oh, there's a Substack. Oh, interesting. Holy moly. I wonder if this had anything also to do with Charlie Kirk. What do you think about the sons of Gideon? Holy moly. Times of ambition, betrayal, and divine justice with the context of... Well, here's the deal. Somebody told me the other day, look, what about the twin Ron? That they're on the Kohberger side in Vegas. Yeah, Kohberger does look like he kind of does, right? Yeah, so here was the Substack. And somebody mentioned the other day to me, why is Kohberger hanging around a bunch of intelligence ex-army people? Was he in the army? Don't know. But some of the things that they were posting on their social media made me think, why in the world? How could Kohberger be connected to all this? Did they use him? Did they, I don't know, convince him to do something? I don't know. I mean, we're still looking, right? And a newly announced surveillance system called Gideon promises to stop mass shootings before they happen. Developed by a former Israel Special Forces operator, Aaron Cohen, Gideon is an AI-driven platform that scans public online spaces 24/7, crawling social media, gaming chats, forums like Discord and Reddit, even fringe blogs, to flag what a creator calls a pre-attack signals. Wow. These signals include signs of radicalization, martyrdom language, tactical planning, targeting, scouting, or even manifesto writing. In theory, Gideon would funnel real-time alerts such as specific threat language, thought police, here we go, Orwell's 1984. In theory, obviously, it would funnel it to police and school safety teams so that they can intervene before an attack happens. And what in the world did Steve G say at CrimeCon? What did Steve G say at CrimeCon? Holy moly. I'm going to get that recording up here. Oh my God, you can't make this up. At CrimeCon, when he's standing there and being interviewed, he basically screams and shouts, school shootings, right? Isn't that what he says? Mass school shootings. Holy moly. Hold on a minute. Let me pull this up. Yep, he sure did. Operation Freedom. Oh, what happened? Did I just accidentally? Here it is.
Is that people need to hear, because the days of getting away with these murders are going to get less and less and less, because this technology, we're learning about like how they can do hair samples without the follicle. There's two labs,
Yes.
but there's new technologies coming out, and we're going to scare
IgG.
the heck out of people.
Yep,
letting
these
them know.
people are going down.
Between the technology, the license plate readers, the GPS, the phones.
CCTVs everywhere. Yep.
I mean,
Drones.
I'm telling you,
I wouldn't want to commit a crime.
it's amazing these days. They
No.
will track you down and get you.
It's good. We started a foundation. I don't know if we could give it to one of you.
Okay, hold on. Let me forward this a little bit.
I have to
Yeah,
look
all right,
at
go.
All right. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think evil is.
Yeah.
And I believe that obviously they looked at the evidence and they said once they see these photographs,
They'll
it's
turn
over.
on him.
It's over, and they're going to give you death. And he knew that. He was smart enough to realize.
And the prosecutor hid that from us. Didn't let the other families know what happened to my daughter, and didn't let me know what happened to theirs. Because if we all would have got on the same page, we all would have
exactly what
said.
happened to Kaylee because what was it?
Gag
The
order?
gag order. So we found out 2
You get
days.
to murder in privacy now
2
in
days
America.
before
You
sentencing.
get a gag order, and you get to murder with
2
total
days before
privacy.
sentencing, we found out how
Yeah.
many times she had been stabbed, where at.
Different
Up
weapons.
until then, we didn't know. We didn't know that her teeth were knocked out. We didn't know that her facial bones were broken. We didn't know that she was stabbed 24 times to her face. We did not know any of that.
And that's why a jury would have given him death.
We found out 2 days before the sentencing. We were like,
sorry.
we're writing victim impact statements. Can we at least know the full impact? You know, it doesn't break that down for you on a death certificate. And at that point, that's all we had was our death
So
certificate.
we knew a lot of the
We didn't
facts.
have her
We knew
autopsy
about the
report.
gag and the choking and stuff like that, but we didn't know. And the thing is, you're begging a prosecutor to tell you what happened to your kid, and they're asking you to make decisions. What do you support this? I'm like, I don't know what. Tell me what happened. I don't get how you can kill people and think you have a right to privacy. It doesn't make any sense.
He had a lot of rights. He had a lot of rights going through that court system. Everything I heard was his rights, his rights, his rights.
And that's the. I mean, I understand
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
frustrating, and but you guys did what victims should do, and that's be at every court appearance. Let them be known, okay? Because I can tell you from the defense perspective, the worst thing you hate is when the victims
They
show
told
up
us
at
that early
sentencing.
on. They're like, we hate seeing that. Put
We're
a face
like,
on a
we'll
crime.
be-
We want it to be a faceless
We'll
crime.
be there at every one, then we said.
And we're like, all right, you just tell us the most we can do, and we will do it. We are that kind of family.
I have to
Yeah,
look
all right,
up
go.
All right. So
Yeah.
I mean, I thank you for taking the time. I'm
No,
so
man,
sorry
I've
for
seen
your
you.
loss.
Yeah.
I mean, but thanks for watching. I mean, hopefully you thought we did a fair.
You do, and you hustle. You were like, I've been gone for a couple days, been in court, and I'm like, go for it. I like educated people saying and clearing things up because I had a case that nobody was clearing things up, and that's so frustrating to have nobodies with fan fiction narratives read that they don't understand. They're Latin and Greek, and I'm like, I just need a leader to say what the heck is going on. This is ridiculous. So I appreciate those guys that can actually lay it out and clear these things up. And if they don't want to listen, they don't want to listen, but at least it's out there.
Well, in the Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell case, the grandparents, she would call into my Patreon show, and we got to meet them, and they were like, we appreciate you just laying it out. She goes, we learn more by listening to you than what we were learning from the prosecutors.
I hired a lawyer because we literally like, what's going on? And you're not telling us. And plus we knew there was confusion on that little community. They didn't know what was going on. They weren't prepared for a crime like this. And I was like, we're going to round up the troops. We're going to get the FBI. We're going to get the governor to give money. We're going to do whatever it takes because this case ain't going cold.
Yeah.
And you only got so much time to get people rallied. And it can just be one witness that sees one thing that can be like, go check that other camera. And that's what we were hoping for.
And I know the process can be frustrating, and the balancing of the defendant's rights versus the public and the family's right to have resolution. But you got to go through that process, and I know it's painful for you, but ultimately the truth comes out. And for people to say, "Oh, he didn't do it," like he pled guilty 4 times plus the burglary. People don't plead guilty to consecutive life sentences unless they did it.
Yeah, there's these fringe cases where people plead to something that they didn't do, but they're not for. it's like a one-off, and they're like, I can't defend myself. I was a druggie. I have all these other
I need to
things.
get out of jail. They're offering me a misdemeanor fine. I'll take it. I get that. We're not talking about a speeding ticket though, where you're speeding and they give you a defective headlamp, right? We're talking murder where you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison.
An Alfred plea. They wanted to do an Alfred plea, and we were like, I rallied everyone and said, we ain't doing this.
I wish, and this is my own, we saw it in the Chris Watts case, and I like it, particularly in federal court. The judges will say, tell me in your own words what you did. And that way it takes away any doubt whatsoever.
Yeah, we wanted that too. And it would have been easy because of the way that Kaylee was killed. He would have given an explanation that an expert would say, yeah, that fits. That is the weapon that's missing. That fits the damage. And only the person who did this would know that, or an investigator. Yeah. But for Thompson to gaslight the whole community and say, oh, well, there's no way for us to know he's telling the truth. Like, don't lie in my face. Yeah, I'm not the family you're going to get away with this. You lie to my face, and I literally told him multiple times, I will go to the meeting and I will tell everyone what you did, and I will hold you accountable for it. So that's what I'm doing right now, talking. I told you, you have the right way to do it, and you can do it another way. And he did it the other way. So now I'm here saying, you gaslit everyone. You lied into our face. You could have got the truth. You were just lazy, or you had other motives. I think his true motives were he ran the risk of him saying, yeah, I stalked those girls 23 times. I did this right in front of your faces. And you guys all look like idiots. I stalked him. I got right up there. I got into the house. And then he would have had to go tell the university every single time he did is documented now. You just got, this murder just went 23 times different stalking events. And now it's just going to just make us look super unsafe. And they're like, don't even talk to him. Zip it. We got enough. Put it to bed.
If you got 5 minutes with him, with Kohberger, what would you say or do?
I wouldn't talk at all. I'd just start tearing up.
Pounding on him?
Pounding, yeah.
I get it. If that was my daughter, I'd do the same thing too.
Yeah, that guy has it coming. He's got it. And word is, it's coming.
He's not going to make it to be an old man in prison. I mean, eventually he's going to get out of his little protective custody and requesting his vegan meals and all that good stuff.
Jim Pop's going to be a pop of some sort. And, he picked on a small community. You thought we were a bunch of idiots. He came from the city. He came out here, and I've heard about his research paper that he did on the community, because there was another murder in there, and they never caught him. So he went there. He thought he had the right place. He picked them, and he's going to find out. He's going to find out if they're the right community or not.
Yeah. Well, I'm so sorry for your loss. I couldn't imagine, I've got a daughter, Annika, she's basically a stepdaughter.
Okay, so here's the deal. Even if this was a unaliving of these 4 college students, did they put this alleged Gideon system in place? Is that what this was utilizing on the back burner? Because this basically is the thought police. Did they go out? It wasn't in real time, but did they go out and try to catch the perpetrators using this system of AI, which basically goes in and it's able to determine hate speech, gang crime, political extremism, and basically go in and target? Is that what this AI was launched to find who did this? Because obviously this is surveillance. This is the enemy of the state, right? It's talking about defending safety and freedom, but the first thing it does is throwing out free speech, right? We have the right to freedom of speech. So this article is really good, and I'll drop it below if you guys want to see. It's basically Gideon AI threat detection. And that is very, very interesting as we go down this rabbit hole. It could be, and this article is written by Coop Saves America. This could be something of interest in this case. Obviously, I'm open to anything, but one of the things that Steve gave away was this shooting, right? They did say something. Absolutely. They sure did. And that's just wild. That is wild. And that's the only thing that I found on Substack. Let me see if I can do it in another search engine and see what it gives me. Is that what you were talking about, the AI threat detection? Let's see. It was executed in 2020, Operation Gideon. We've talked about that one before, right? That is the world coup plot. The Green Beret guy. That was when they tried to go into Venezuela. Let me see. Oh. What if it's Gideon's spies? Intelligence and espionage. That's interesting. Pulp Culture is Gideon Falls. It's a comic video game series. Mr. Robot. Interesting. Operation Gideon, U.S. Defense Secretary. Well, we can go down a deep rabbit hole on this one. Gideon's spies. This one's interesting. Mossad. Secret history of Mossad. Wrong one. Hold on. Wrong slide. Something on Middle East Forum. History of the Mossad. Gideon's spies. This was written in 99. Maybe a messenger. Maybe with On Dylan's arm. Yeah, I just realized there was more. Absolutely. Gideon International. That's why I said, did someone throw Bryan under the bus the other day? If you watch that 4-hour live, was he thrown under the bus? He claimed that 8 months before Kenneth Starr ever heard of Monica Lewinsky, the Israels had 30 hours of tapes of President Clinton talking intimately with her. He also claimed that Jerusalem was holding these tapes either for possible blackmail or to protest its mole in the White House, codename Mega. Look closely at Gideon's spies. To begin with, Gideon's spies contains many other eye-popping claims. Thomas holds Mossad responsible for the deaths among others, Princess Diana due to its high-pressure tactics on her driver. Wow. That's interesting. Very interesting. So this is a Middle East Quarterly, written volume 6, number 24. I don't know. We can go down so many rabbit holes. Ooh, I heard about her private driver. What do you... I believe they were both tipsy. They're extra chatty. Has info on this topic. Okay, I'll go take a look at his. Clinton and Epstein was close. I don't know. Let's do this. We're still going to keep digging. We're still going to keep looking. This community shows up one reason, and that's to find the truth. And did we get a little bit of truth the other day when we heard Peter E. share his version of what happened that night in Moscow, Idaho? Listen to this.
Series. So Peter E.'s interview came out, and he mentions the word altercation on 4 different questions. And then the investigator asks him, well, what do you think led to Ethan's death? And he uses the word that he used a couple of times before. And then he says the last time he saw Ethan was about 1:20. So there's finally a timeline for Ethan, even though they kept saying it was 1:45. So I don't know. I'm speculating that perhaps Ethan was seen and maybe Peter knows a little bit more than he's saying. And obviously this whole thing is a scam or a cover-up or something for the Idaho 4. But it doesn't make any logical sense why Peter was never listed as a witness. And then the investigator says he's going to give him immunity. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I'm just wondering what obviously that may be why they looked in the Department of Corrections or California's fingerprint database to see if there was anybody that lived in California. Fingerprints or arrest had happened prior, because his family is from California. But wow, I wonder, what are your thoughts? Do you ever think out loud? Do you ever speculate out loud? Because I'm just trying to figure out why they never mentioned him until the interviews. Well, you all know the drill. Be well.
Isn't that really odd? That, I mean, we knew Peter existed. People have said we've heard him on audio, which we don't know if that's the actual truthful audio. And we have our wild theories about Ethan perhaps seeing Peter last. But what are your thoughts? What comes to your mind when you heard Peter say altercation several times? What comes to your mind? I mean, it would take a big, wide net of people to run an operation like this. Huge. I mean, huge. And my humble Lake thought Pete was sus, just the things he said. He was being shielded. State of California holds their own database of fingerprints. Yes, they do. And that is why the forensics, and I'll pull that up real quick. The forensics documents, let me pull that. L5, L6. They ran it on a level 3. So some states don't have the same fingerprint databases. Only certain people do. Look, I'll share this with you. So when you talk fingerprint databases, there's a couple of different ones. So you have the 3, the Interstate Identification Index, and then you have the National Fingerprint File. So Idaho ran 3. So the participating states, there's only 24 of these. And then if you go to the National Fingerprint File, you have Part 3 and NIFF, and there's 27 states that participate in this. And in the forensics, and that's from the FBI, in the forensics files, it said, let me pull that up too so you guys can see that. It said, hold on a second. I believe this one, they ran a 3. We only ran a 3, but something came back from the FBI. Hold on. We went over that the other day. Hold on. I launched LLI. I did a level 3. Document go. Level 3. I did a level 3 for California. But it never said why on the documents. It just said that was their standard protocol pretty much. For the DOJ, DOC California. It was said. So obviously they had some reason to run it through California. And here it is. On the 18th, they ran it through the FBI, California Department of Justice, and no likely candidates were generated. And then they forward this over to the laboratory. Let's just see this. And there's another one in here. You ran it through the database, nothing came back. That was on the 18th. So they had some reason to run it through there. And that was the receipt back from Idaho. This was the DHS Biometric Support Center West. This was the Defense Forensics. And they ran it through the state of California right here. Whoops. And that's the date they ran it was the 13th. What date is on here? 12/1 through 12/5. They ran those latent prints. So they did run them. But my initial thought on Pete was Pete knows who maybe the possible offenders were. Caleb, my husband, Truth Sleuth, know who you both really are. What does that mean? Is that a threat? Are you doxing people? Is that what your intention is? Because we don't do that here. Yeah, we don't do that. And if you're going to do that, then you and your husband can go somewhere else. Because this is what I think. People looking into the truth shouldn't be doxed. All right, so not here, not this channel, not this creator. You guys won't do that to my mods either. I just have to address that issue. If you want drama, go somewhere else. All right? We're not into that. If you want krama, go somewhere else too. We're trying to keep the truth out. What's the truth then? If you know what the truth is, what's the truth? No rumors, facts, evidence, document, crime scene. Do tell. Very interested to hear this. I wasn't blocking anyone. Who did I block? Who did I block? Oh, I want to hear this one. Who blocked who? What is going on? Caleb is? What? We're not doing drama here. We're not doing drama. And if you're causing drama, you will be blocked. You will be banished forever. And if you come back in under another name, we're going to figure it out. We always do. So third eye blind, you must be totally blind. If Truth is your husband, then we'll just go ahead and kick you out. Yeah, I'm not dealing with that stuff. There's plenty of other channels to go troll, scroll, clown, do whatever you want. Okay, we're not doing that here. If anything, we've uncovered a lot of truth. I continue to find things that don't make sense. And if you haven't seen the one that I just put up the other day, which people are just like wild about, It is crazy. I don't do half-assed. I don't do sloppy. I don't do drama. Here we go. Deal with this statement. Amino black was put on. Remember, you can't see anything until you apply the magic chemical, right? And once you apply the magic chemical, then a footprint appears. The footprint was not seen before. So somebody wiped it. Somebody cleaned it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Or
if
tried
this,
to anyway. Tried
right.
to.
But if this document says that there was a discussion among police officers or somebody, and they discussed officer prints, then the officer had to be at the scene of the crime and walk through the blood.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So which one is it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it they stopped looking for the diamond print mark because it was cleaned up and then it showed up after? Or was there a cop there where blood was?
Yeah, and if it was a cop, what was he doing wearing like Converse type sneakers? Like, because Converse makes those imprints too.
But if there was a cop there during the blood, they wiped it up and then they sprayed the chemical and found it.
Yeah, exactly. Like who's cleaning? Who's cleaning? Who's doing that?
Right? Is a cop in
Exactly.
there as a cleaning lady?
Exactly. Who in the world is, who's in there doing this? And honestly, whoever did it wasn't thinking about Amito Black,
Now, here's the okay. So when we start looking at evidence like this that is in the forensic evidence files, I feel, in my humble opinion, that this was enough to even get this, obviously, Frank's hearing that they were going for certain different reasons. But this is just another prime example of, in the Idaho 4, how could they try to cover this up? They not think that anybody would look into this document, into this evidence, into why this happened, especially if our gut instincts are telling us something is not right? Is Kohberger really guilty? This is insane. It is insane to push this on to the American people. If this guy's innocent, we've seen plenty. If this guy's guilty, start showing us where. Start showing us how. How can you put somebody in freaking prison for life if they're not guilty? Just because they say they're guilty or they can make them look guilty. What got Bryan Kohberger in this compromising position to be spending his life in prison? Who is Bryan Kohberger? I'm going to leave you with that. You all, thank you so much for the stream. Thank you so much for your support, your love, your generosity, your kindness. Thank you for listening to what we found in truth, evidence, court records, documents. We'll continue on. Tomorrow is another day. Y'all, stay grounded, stay true, keep asking the tough questions, the uncomfortable questions. We are going to get there one way or another. We all show up because we want to find the truth. They can hide it. We'll still find it. What do y'all think? Thank my mods for being here. Thank you so much for coming into my stream, our community, sharing the truth. Be well, y'all.
Yeah, you see it? It's all coming down. Let's The world wakes up, a brand new stage, new promise. written on the page. We saw the cracks, turned a new age, tore up the script, got out the cage. The roots dig deep, they can't be stopped. A solid truth that can't be topped. For every voice they try to drop, we rise up higher from the crowd.
It's just the beginning.